Every single person in this world has a story to share. Your story is your superpower, and it's unique to you. In sharing it with the world, you can impact millions of people. If you keep it to yourself, you are doing the world a disservice. This is Dela. I'm the host of Dela's Voice, and I help you share your superpower with the world.
Hello and welcome to another Dela's Voice Sunday live talk show. May I start this session, as always, by paying my gratitude to this platform that I have been blessed with so that I can bring information, inspiration, and motivation for change, wellness, and recovery. I want to thank you, the viewers, for every single time you are with this program, for sharing this inspiration with others, and for your comments and support and loving messages. And I want to thank every single speaker, every single guest that comes on Dela's Voice and shares so generously their experience, their hope, their strength with the rest of the world so that they can impact this world one step at a time, one day at a time, one person at a time. It's absolutely my pleasure and honor to bring you today's guest, Dr. Carol Lourie. A little bit about Dr. Carol for you so that you can get to know her superpower. Dr. Carol Lourie is a dedicated practitioner with over 3 decades of clinical experience as a naturopath, acupuncturist, a homeopath. Dr. Carol specializes in complex and chronic disease management, focusing on women's health, fertility for older women, autoimmune illness, and breast cancer. Applying integrative tools of focused nutrition, targeted supplementation, lifestyle changes, and centered mindset allow people to recover their health and restore their life. Dr. Carol says healing is always possible, especially when the body and mind work together towards that goal. Please help me welcome on Dela's Voice, Dr. Carol Lourie. Welcome, Dr. Carol.
I'm so excited and happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And just call me Carol, please.
Okay, thank you. It's easier. Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for waking up especially early so that you can be here for us for
No
this
problem.
time.
I wake up early anyway, and I'm really happy to be here and share my mission and my passion as you just did yours with your wonderful audience.
Thank you. Thank you. Carol, I'm going to put up the banner so that as people jump on the program, they can see what we're talking about. We're talking about living beyond breast cancer. What a devastating word, cancer.
Yes.
And breast cancer. And as we were talking before the show, you said something that was so true. You said, Dela, everybody knows someone who's had breast cancer.
It's true. Unfortunately, the statistics are alarming. Every year, there's approximately 330,000 women newly diagnosed. And in 2021, there are 3.6 million women who have been living for 5 years or more with breast cancer. So that's just in the US. That's a lot of people. And I know that right now, the news is always focused on the viral and the pandemic outbreak. But the reality is that breast cancer has not disappeared or dissipated. And it's something that we need to begin to really consistently address. And in addition to adopt the mindset of, yes, I'm going to do medical oncology, and I'm going to be smart and use the other side of what's available, which is complementary oncology or integrative and natural care.
I always feel like we have I want to say the average person is not very aware of all these different methods of healing. And so I have to be honest with you, in the past couple of years, since I've started interviewing people, is when I've become so much more aware of there's so much out there. There's so much help and there's so much resource. And that's the reason why I bring amazing individuals on the show like yourself, so that people can hear from the expert what's available. And so we're just going to start in just a moment. I just want to say hi to everybody who's on here already and watching us. Welcome, everybody. And please drop us a line if you're here so that we can see you as well. And we can also mention your name. And so, Dr. Carol, let's go back. And because what you're doing is amazing. And I want to know how you even got started into this field of, I want to say integrative medicine?
Yeah, more natural health care, integrative medicine, sure. Well, when you look back at it many years later, you realize that in some ways it was meant to be, because I had always wanted to be a doctor and was planning on going to medical school. And I took a year off after I graduated from college and moved up to New York and was part of a spiritual community there. This was a long time ago in the 70s. And it turns out that my roommate had cancer. And I went with her to Memorial Sloan, Columbia actually, and was there when the doctor said to her, "We've given you lots of radiation. There's no more we can do for you." And she was a young 20-something-year-old woman. And she said, "I'm not accepting this." And she did some research and found this chiropractor who was using iridology to give people, to diagnose what the imbalance in the body was and to give people detoxifying diets. Now, you need to understand something, that in the late 70s or mid 70s, the word detoxifying was not standard household word like it is now. What's detoxifying? Nobody knew what it was.
That's woo-woo stuff. What are you doing?
Yeah. And it's still, it can be still, but also nobody knew what iridology was. Now, just to let all your audience know, is that the eye, it has very specific sections where they correspond to organ systems. And if there's a black dot in that means that you have an imbalance. And as you go through detoxifying, the iris changes.
Oh my God, I can just see people jumping to the mirror to look for those
black. You should. But then you need to look up on Google, like, what are the sections of the eye corresponding to? So I ended up working for this doctor. And when I first started, this young girl came in and she had very bad skin. And this was how naive I was. I said to myself, well, you have bad skin, you go on antibiotics. What is the big deal? Now I would never think that, of course not, because antibiotics, long-term antibiotics for years disrupt your gut microbiome. They can lead to depression and autoimmune illness because your immune system starts in your gut. So that was my brain. I didn't know, antibiotics for skin problems. So she started on his protocol, and a month later she came in and her skin, which was horribly cystic and really, really bad, was 50% better in a month from eating vegetables and blended salad and doing juices. And I thought, And then I began to see like hundreds of people who came to him who had either been mistreated by the medical profession and had unfortunate experiences, or who weren't helped. And they started coming to him, and it was miraculous. Everybody started getting better. They lost weight. Her skin problems eventually disappeared. They began to have energy. Whatever it was got better. And he was an amazing, wonderful man. And unfortunately, he was hounded by the medical profession and had a very difficult life. But It was because of his supposed work with cancer. So I started working for him. And one day I was going through this huge pile of paperwork, which we all tend to have on our desk, unfortunately. And all of a sudden, I took off a piece of paper and there was a catalog to the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. And I was at that point living in Queens and working in Lido or Jones Beach. And it's like the bells and the lights went off. And I thought,
of course, I'm getting shivers.
I know. It was like my moment. The universe was guiding me. Maybe I should go here. So I applied and I went to the National College of Naturopathic Medicine for 4 years. And I then moved to California and I got my acupuncture license. And all during this time, I've studied homeopathy with different masters of homeopathy. It's a wonderful healing modality, unlike anything else. So I have been doing this for, 35 or more years. And I love, as you do, my work. And I love how we're always learning, and you can really see miraculous changes, just like this young woman with the skin problems, people who consistently do the work and come to see me and are dedicated and determined to get their health back, because you absolutely can. My phrase is recover your health and restore your life. You can absolutely do that. But unlike the messaging that we get through American advertising, which is you have problem A, you don't make any lifestyle changes, you take pill B and you're better. Natural healing doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that we need to do consistently to recover our health.
It's not like a Band-Aid. It actually goes to the root of the problem. And I've come to totally experience that for myself in the past little while. Just really addressing issues that would have never thought that could be helped, because doctors said, no, that's not
You're
gonna.
fine. Here's a pill. You're fine.
Yeah.
I don't mean to diminish the medical profession.
No, of course not.
They're extremely dedicated, and thank goodness we have their assets and their skills, and the hospitals. They're saving a lot of lives every day.
Mm-hmm.
And but there is a slightly different approach, and unfortunately, there's no advertising for this on national television. Yeah. So people are only learning about one way, right?
Yes, and I mean, I know that we're going through to a different direction. I just want to put this out there that idealistically, the medical field and integrative medicine would work together. Naturopathy and homeopathy would work together, bringing more healing to people. I think that would be lovely.
There are centers within the U.S. where they have integrative approach to care, and we need more of them.
Yes. Thank you, Carol. Okay, let's look at some comments. Let's see. I've got a few people here that have said hi. The rest are probably shy. Dear Bobak says hi. Hi, Dela. Hi, Dr. Carol. Welcome to the show. Deborah Sweezy of Stroke TV. They're doing amazing work, bringing awareness to stroke and the aftermath.
Yeah, as an acupuncturist, I've worked with stroke, and acupuncture is amazing for stroke. And also post-stroke, I put people in this, what I call a healing smoothie, which I adapt to people's needs. And you can really do a lot to provide nutrients to break up the stagnation, which has caused stroke. So stroke is a very serious problem among our cultures. Yes.
I'm sure Deborah is going to ask you to be on her show.
Can't wait, Deborah. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Awesome. I love connecting amazing people together. Farida is my mom, Carol. She's always here. She's always here. Okay, so there's something about, is what you do similar to functional medicine?
Yes, it is. It's very similar. It's very similar. Naturopathic healthcare and functional medicine are very similar. We both look at the root cause. We both do advanced testing that is in addition to what you get through your standard medical doctor. Homeopathy is slightly different, is a very different modality than functional medicine. But yes, it's very similar. And in the work that I do with all people, I work mostly with women, but I always incorporate the emotional trauma. I have a 6-step approach in my work, which I apply to whatever area that you're working with me. And we start with the emotions and the trauma, because even if it happened 20 years ago, what we don't deal with at the time can then that energy gets stored in our cells. And then you have stress or environmental toxins, and that genetics and that genomics gets turned on, and then you develop a certain disease. Now, everybody's little turn on SNP can be different. Some people get cancer. Some people get colitis. Other people get Crohn's disease or migraine headache or infertility or an autoimmune illness. And we all go where our genetics and our SNPs and our weak area and our family history sort of lead us. But you can recover from that. So there's the emotional trauma, there's the nurturing and focused nutrition, targeted supplementation, which we do after we have gathered lots of functional medicine and other testing, and lifestyle changes, including environmental factors, focused mindset, and then we pull it all together with a comprehensive approach.
Amazing. Like I said, I've had experience actually with this, and it's been so successful. So it's wonderful to be able to see beyond what we think is the only choice, and giving ourselves those options really opens up doors for us. And I think it's wonderful that there's so much available. Dr. Carol, at some point, breast cancer became really important to you. What happened?
So for me, it was a typical school morning. I was helping my daughter get ready for school, and the phone rang, and I thought it was a crank call because the person was not making any sense. And finally, I realized it was my dear friend at the time, and she was very upset and could barely talk. And finally, I understood that she was saying, I have breast cancer. So she had had a routine mammogram, and they found a lump, and, they said, this is highly suspicious. And in that moment, I said, don't worry, you're not going to be alone. And I went through 18 months of every appointment, every chemo, the biopsy, the surgery, the radiation. I took care of her during and then at home. So I got both sides, because so often when you go into the oncology office, you're there for the infusion, and then you go home, and that's when it gets really difficult. But luckily for her and for me, I was already a naturopath and a homeopath and an acupuncturist. And I said, I have skills and tools for this. So I began to experiment, and I did a lot of research, and we started following certain protocols. And so one day we went into her oncology office for her checkup before an infusion. And the doctor looked up at the blood work and said, what are you doing? And we got alarmed. We thought there was a problem. And we said, what's going on? And she said, I don't know what you're doing, but I want all of my patients to be doing this too, because your blood work is like that of a normal person, not in the middle of chemo. So that was really medical validation that what we were doing was working. And you know what? It wasn't that hard. So we told her, and she said, well, keep it up, and I'm going to start referring lots of patients to you. So it's sort of like, it's not like if you build it, they will come. But if you're dedicated and if you do the research and you have a program that works, women tell their friends, because, oh yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm in the middle of chemo. You should go see this person. She's great. So there is a huge need for this, and it's larger than what I can do one-on-one. And I developed an online program, The Path of Breast Cancer, which has 3 modules: treatment, recovery, and prevent recurrence. And when I asked my community, what is your number one concern once you've been diagnosed? And 80% of the women said, I'm afraid it will come back. So I took the module of preventing recurrence and I turned it into an online group coaching program, Empowered Against Recurrence, in which there's 6 weeks, 6 of me every week live, and the women come on and I have teaching slides, and then you get to ask me questions and you have direct access to me. So it's been extremely wonderful for the women. And if you're interested, just
I
send
have
me.
the banner.
Yeah, I mean, I launch this every month. I do one of these groups every month, and my next group will be in the middle of September.
Dr. Carol, would you recommend for someone who's not even going through breast cancer, perhaps, to do this program as a preventative way of dealing with
Illness?
And any probability?
You know, if you have a family history of breast cancer or colon cancer, either first line like your mom or your cousin, I think that does, and research, not just what I think, research has shown that you can have an increased risk. So this is for women who have already been through treatment. And if that is you, I think you should just contact me. We can have a few sessions and put you on certain supplements, clean up your lifestyle, do a Dutch hormonal panel. It's my intention to
what is that?
I'll tell you in a second. It's my intention to develop a prevention for breast cancer integrative program, but I can only do so many things at one time, but that is in the works. But a Dutch hormonal panel is a very specific, it's Precision Analytics is the name of the company, and you can Google this. It's a very easy, it's urine and saliva, and it tells you how your body is metabolizing your hormones. Because if you have estrogen disruption, I'll talk about that in a second, and the estrogen is not being properly broken down, then the unhealthy estrogen will stay in your body, and that can lead towards increased risk of breast cancer. So we as women, we have different forms of estrogen, and estrogen is a positive hormone, but it needs to be broken down and eliminated in our body. So if you're exposed to a lot of environmental chemicals, let me just do a little segue and tell a nice story.
Yes.
I had this 35-year-old young woman come to see me, and she said, I have unexplained infertility. Now, I love it when someone says to me, I have an unexplained illness, because in my book,
you explain everything.
It's like they haven't found what the reason is yet, but there is always a cause. And she came in, and I have a scent-free office, and she reeked of perfume. And I said to her, so tell me about scent. And she goes, oh, I love scents. I have those plugins. I have those sticks that you stick in oil. And this is what she said, which caused the hair on my head to stand up. I spray my sofa with that product, which I'm not going to mention. If anybody has that product in their house, it begins with an F, throw it out. And so what happens is I said, okay, so do me a favor, go home, gather every single product you use in your house, the plugins, the sticks, the spraying stuff, the laundry detergent, the cleaning products, put it on the countertop and send me a picture. 29 items. Every one of them contained toxic chemicals that were causing estrogen disruption. So when you have certain chemicals, when you spray your sofa and you sit on there and your dog gets on it and you're petting your dog, when you wash your laundry with over-the-counter, the little red, white, and blue pod things that you stick in, when you put in dryer sheets and soft clothes softener, when you wash your hands, when you're doing your dishes with, the blue laundry detergent, the blue dishwashing liquid, all of those chemicals are getting into your skin. And what happens is when estrogen is supposed to be eliminated, they mimic estrogen. So let's think about the estrogen being eliminated as like a parking lot. So there's only a certain number of spots, but your body has been exposed to all these chemicals, and they go into that parking lot and they grab those spots. So when the real estrogen goes to bind to be eliminated through your urine or feces, there's no spots available because the chemicals are sitting there. And so it hangs out in your body. It becomes an unhealthy form of estrogen. That's called estrogen dominance, and that can increase your risk of breast cancer and other cancers. So she didn't have unexplained anything. She had environmental toxic product overload. It's not just the laundry, and it's also the facial products, the hair products. So she had to throw out her sofa because it couldn't be detoxified.
Just give me a second, Dr. Carol. I'm going to put my head down here and start crying. I don't know how many of these things I'm using, but most of it.
Okay, well, it's not an accident that I'm here. It's time for you to throw everything out and start over. You can go to, Whole Foods has lots of eco products. It's not hard, and it's just a little switch. No dryer sheets, no water softener for your laundry. It's, none of that spray stuff. Oh my goodness.
We do everything. We kill ourselves eating healthy and less fat, more veggies, more fruits. We work out.
No, we don't need to eat less fat. We need to eat the right fat.
The right fat, right? We work out. I don't know how many times a week. And here we are just inundated, with all these stuff that are causing us harm. And awareness is such a good thing.
Awareness is a good thing. If you have plugins in your house, please throw them out. They are really toxic, very toxic. If you have those little stick things in the oil, very bad for you. Anyway, she had to get eco laundry detergent. She washed all of her sheets. She had to throw out a lot of her clothes because they were unhealthy. New sofa, we had the rug cleaned. It took a while for the scent to come out of the house. And 3 months later, and I gave her the healing smoothie and some supplements and acupuncture. She was pregnant. She's had several babies. She didn't need to spend $40,000 on IVF, which is where she was heading. And it was just working with me for a couple of months. I mean, it's not that hard, and it doesn't take that long. And she sends me pictures of her and her family every Christmas. They've moved back east. It's a really wonderful story. Dawn.
Nice.
Hello to Dawn if you're watching.
Such a nice story.
Mm.
Wow. Okay, I'm just flabbergasted here. I'm going to look at the comments. Let's see. Something about Kangen water.
What kind of water?
Kangen water. Have you heard of that before?
No. Okay. No, I'm sorry.
All right.
See, I'm still learning. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
So Debbie says, I use Kangen water to detox ourselves daily while getting antioxidants and hydrogen. It truly has changed my health, and I look better and so much younger. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to Google it as soon as we're off. Okay. Thank you.
Because she says most waters are loaded with chemicals and
toxins. Yeah, they are. I always filter my water, and I recommend the women I work with if they can get an aqua sauna, which sits by the on the kitchen countertop, and it's really great.
So what does that do?
It filters the water. It filters toxins out of water, fluoride, chloride, all of those.
Is that then what would they call structured water?
No, I don't think so. It's just filtered water. I don't know what structured water is.
We'll have to bring an expert back on the show about water.
I'm not a water expert. I just refer everybody to this product, and I have one too.
Because it works for you. Panta says, Dr. Carol Lourie is amazing.
Yes, I know who she is. I was on her show, wonderful show too. Hello, Pantia.
Well, she's the reason why you're here, and so I'm so grateful. She says Dr. Carol is not only a naturopathic doctor, but functional medicine, homeopath, and acupuncture practitioner. I love all of her interviews. Thank you, Pantia.
Thank you.
Okay, so going back to this course that you have, this program that you have, helping people. What is the purpose of Empowered Against a Recurrence?
Well, the purpose of Empowered Against Recurrence, Empowered Through Treatment, Empowered into Recovery, is women need certain skill sets. And for example, unfortunately, too many women are having mastectomies when they don't really need it. If a woman is diagnosed with DCIS, the next thing that needs to be happening is that she should be getting an Oncotype breast cancer recurrence index. And women come to call me up and, we do consultations. And I said, well, I'm looking through your records. I don't see this. Oh, they didn't do that. Well, why not? That is the number one test that needs to happen. It's a medical test, and it will show what your whether you'll respond to chemo. Do you need radiation? I mean, what are your chances? How will it decrease your risk of recurrence if you do these treatments? So I think that oncology is overwhelmed, and unfortunately, they get into their own lane. And well, this is the protocol that we have here, and this is what we're going to do. And so there is also having a seasoned expert practitioner to say to you, well, go back to your oncologist and ask him or her about this. That's part of it, number one. Number two, there is another side to cancer. It's not just about chemo and radiation. Cancer is a metabolic disease. That's a very empowering statement. The word empowering for me means you have the ability to move forward with education, knowledge, and determination that you can get through this unfortunate blip in your path of life and go on to lead even a better life. I believe that just like for me when I was working for this doctor and I went through the pile of paperwork and I found the catalog to the National College of Naturopathic Medicine, I mean, in some ways we're being guided to what our mission or our path is for our life. And I think that's what empowerment is about. It's about embodying and accepting your mission and what the universe has for you. You can make it into religion if you want. That's fine. Everybody has that right. But it's about owning. And then, this is what's happened to me. I was diagnosed with XYZ disease, and I'm going to take the best of both worlds and do everything I can. So oncology addresses the tumor, but what about the driving factors? What about your genetic SNPs? What about the fact that, okay, now let me tell you another part of my going through chemo with my dear friend.
So Dr. Carol, is it okay if we come back to that?
Yes.
And we're just going to take a short break.
Sure.
And come back. And so hold that thought. We're going to come back to your friend going through chemo and the experiences with that. I have so many questions, but we're going to be right back. Welcome to Flowers and Things Flower and Gift Shop, serving Newmarket, Ontario and area for over 18 years. Flowers and Things Flower and Gift Shop is here to make your flower sending experience a pleasure. Please visit us online at www.flowersandthingsflowerandgiftshop.com or call us at 905-830-0024. Flowers and Things Flower and Gift Shop. We thrive on your satisfaction. And we're back with Dr. Carol Lourie on living beyond breast cancer. So before the break, Dr. Lourie, you were going to tell us a little bit more about what your friend was going through when she was going through her radiation.
So I was saying, as part of cancer is a metabolic disease. And we come into the chemotherapy infusion at UCSF, and the first thing the woman says to her is, you look a little thin. Would you like some Ensure? Now, the number one ingredient in Ensure is, drum roll, sugar. Then we're doing the infusion, and she said, well, would you like a popsicle to suck on, or would you like a hard candy? And then here's some, juice, not healthy juice, but unhealthy juice. And when she was finished, they said, would you like a cupcake? 5 times during the infusion was she offered sugar. Sugar is gas for cancer gas tank. Now, this was established in 1924 by Otto Warburg, who was a German scientist. And he discovered that, and he won the Nobel Medicine Peace Prize for this. He discovered that cancer, given a choice between oxygen and sugar for the gas tank, will choose sugar, even though it's a more difficult pathway and it gets less ATP or less gas, so to speak. That's known as the Warburg effect, aerobic glycolysis. So cancer is a metabolic disease. The number one thing that I work with women or anybody who has cancer is we must reduce sugar intake. And sugar isn't just white sugar. It's honey and maple syrup. It's also simple carbs. Now, there are many different types of diets. This is where we get into nurturing nutrition or focused nutrition. What's the best diet for me? Brain cancer, there's research, it's the ketogenic diet. But for breast cancer, the research done in Greece over 20 years for thousands and thousands of women is a modified Mediterranean diet, has the most impact on reducing breast cancer recurrence. So in my program, it's modified. Notice it's the word modified. It's gluten-free. It's not no carbs. It's extremely low carbs. So even though it's gluten-free, people have this misconception, oh, it's gluten-free. I can have gluten-free pasta and gluten-free bread and gluten-free crackers and cookies and cupcakes. No, you can't have all of that because they're carbs, and carbs are really easily transferred into sugar, and sugar promotes your cancer. You have the ability to alter the tumor microenvironment inside your body by what you eat and the supplements you take and how you exercise and your toxin-free home. It takes a long time. It takes a while to pull all of these 6 steps together, and it can take 2 months. It takes as long as it takes. You don't have to rush and do it in a week and then end up exhausted.
Mm-hmm. And I would think that it, excuse me, it takes a lot of work. It's like, well, you've lived so long with this kind of lifestyle and, surrounded by all these things. And so it's not going to happen overnight. So have you had resistance from people along the way? People who are perhaps dealing with cancer, but they're not really willing to go this route.
Well, they're not going to be calling me up, are they?
I suppose not.
I mean, yeah, I really, people have choice. I really respect people's choice. It's sort of like, right now we're having a lot in our society. People don't want to wear masks, and all of a sudden people think that they're the scientists and they know better than the scientists, and therefore they don't need to wear masks. It's like what you do for cancer, it's not the same thing as that. I mean, if somebody isn't wanting to stop eating, I don't know what, ice cream every night, or their pastry that they get from Safeway, which is filled with there's no live food in it. It's just so much sugar and chemicals. I don't know what to say. You can have a healthier version of that. I used to be a pastry chef, and
Were you really?
and a chef and a pastry chef, and I've made recipes. I've taken all my baking knowledge and turned them into gluten-free and very low sugar. So it doesn't. In fact, yesterday I made peach berry muffins for my husband, and they're delicious. But I don't think life should be about deprivation, but I think that when you have a disease and you want to live a healthy and happy life, there are certain choices you can make. Now, I'm not talking about Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or the New Year's. I mean, if you want to go off and quote blow it at that point, but I've had, what I recommend is people, if they're going to go off their healthy way of eating, if you eat sugar and alcohol at the same time, you will be sick the next day. How do I know this? I've seen it in lots of people. So if you're going to go
I
off,
thought you were going to say I've experienced it.
no, oh no, I don't. No, I'm smarter than that. So make a choice. If you're going off your plan, and let's say it's Thanksgiving, so just say I'm going to eat carbs. But if you eat carbs and sugar and you drink alcohol, you will be sick for days afterwards. So and limit what you eat. You don't need to eat 5 pieces of dessert. I mean, so, but it's really easy to make pumpkin pie without lots of sugar. I don't quite get it. So
it's a you make it sound really easy, but I mean, you're used to this kind of lifestyle, and I think what's keeping us from really committing to a healthier lifestyle is that we find it's too hard of a commitment. Like maybe it's too hard to make all these switches. It's just easier to go to any supermarket and grab those pastries that, you know what I mean?
You know what's too hard? Too hard is feeling like horrible every day.
Yeah.
Too hard is not being able to get out of bed. Too hard is having to go through chemotherapy for a second time because it didn't work the first time, or having to have major surgery and having, your breast or your colon taken out or something. That's too hard. So that attitude of it's too hard is because we've been indoctrinated by television and advertising that we have disease A, we take pill B, and then we're better. I mean, really, really, I think that we need to begin to think of ourselves as victims of advertising. And there is a wake-up call when you get diagnosed with a serious illness. It is, it's a wake-up call. And when you have breast cancer or colon cancer or whatever it is, leukemia, brain cancer, you can absolutely do the medical treatment and do complementary oncology at the same time and incorporate these lifestyles. And it's not just for you, it's for your family, it's your kids. And work with someone like me, because I'm going to say to you, okay, you have to clean out your kitchen and your pantry. You're not doing it by yourself. This is a time to call your sister or your sister-in-law or your neighbor. Everybody's going to, come over together. You have my sheet. You have what needs to go and what you need to replace it with. And guess what? It can take a week. It doesn't have to happen in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be fun. I mean, because you're starting a new life. You're starting a new lifestyle. And you will not feel deprived. Nurturing nutrition is not deprivation. I think food is about abundance and love, and I bring my love of cooking into this and sharing my recipes. I send recipes out every week. I think it's an important, in fact, if you go to Carol Lourie Health, you'll see my coconut panna cotta. Now, that's the recipe of the week. That is not a deprived recipe. That is not unhealthy, delicious. That is a healthy recipe that is delicious. Mm-hmm. It is not unhealthy, and it is delicious. Mm-hmm. And it takes a few minutes to make. It's great. Make it today, serve it tomorrow, make it this morning, have it tonight. It's really yummy. So making these choices, yes, it takes a while to change old habits.
That's great. So if do you have a place where people can go? So drcarollourie.com, would that give them the recipes there, or they can sign up for your newsletter or email? Okay, good.
If you go to carollourie.com and go to the download section, I'm not sure if my holiday recipes are still up there or not, but I have a lot of free downloads. And then if you use the contact me section there and send me an email, I respond to every email I get.
You do. And so in the download section, is there, so other than recipes, what else is there?
There is my nutritional guides. There's a general nutritional, healthy nutrition. There's a nutritional guide for women who want to attend to their hormones. So if you have a history of breast cancer, that would be in your family. That would be for you. If you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, if you're having infertility problems, menstrual irregularities, that nutrition book would be for you. And then I have an ebook for women with breast cancer. So there's those 3 things. I think there's one on exercise. There's one on going gluten-free. There's one on detoxifying personal products in your home. And then there is a video of me in which I describe how to organize your supplements, because having worked with thousands of people over 35 years, if you do not organize your supplements, let's say you're on 10 different products, and if you have a serious disease, that's not unusual or uncommon. If you don't organize them, they're just going to sit on the counter, and you're going to walk by the kitchen counter and feel guilty every time. And so I have this system where I don't think that those little plastic things do the job. I'm just going to get something and show you what my system is here. Share it with your audience. These are these color-coded dots. You can get them with 5 different colors. And you get the little Ziploc snack bags. And then you take those color dots and you make yellow for the morning, orange for the lunch, and blue for the dinner. And then you line up your supplements in alphabetical order, and you take your sheet, and hopefully you're buying the supplements not from CVS, Trader Joe's, or Costco, because those are a waste of your money. I recommend supplements made to pharmaceutical quality standards, which means the company has research and development section, and they're all third-party tested. So you line up your supplements in alphabetical order, and you look at your morning. Oh, I'm taking these 5 different products in the morning, and you get 7 bowls, and you take one of your bottles and you go, okay, 7 days each morning, I'm taking 3 from this bottle, and you put 3 in each one of the bowls. And then you go through the other lists and you put them. So at the end of when you've done this, you have 7 bowls, and each bowl has all you need for your morning pills. And then you just open up your little Ziploc bag, which has a yellow dot on it, and you pour in 7 different bags, each one of the bowls. So you're set to go for a week. So the morning comes, you don't have to start opening up 5 different bottles and pouring them out. It's there for you. You're going out to lunch with your friend or dinner over to somebody's house. You have your lunch and your dinner. You just grab it and go. That is easy. That makes supplements part of your life, not dominating your life. And then you don't have to feel guilty every time you look at your bottles and think, oh, didn't take them today.
Yeah, haven't taken them. Living empowered beyond breast cancer. What does that look like?
It looks like you feel really positive about yourself. You've become aware of that little voice that women have, and I'm sure men do too, in our heads, which say to us, you didn't do this right, you should have done that, you didn't do this enough. I mean, it's the negative, like looking at the bottle half full as opposed to totally full. Empowered against recurrence, or empowered in your life, looks like you're authentic to yourself. You've divested yourself of things that you don't need anymore, especially as we get older, our perspective on life changes. There are friends, which everyone has, which when you get off the phone with them or you finish meeting them, you're like drained. And then if you need something, they're not all of a sudden available to help you. So we all have friends like that. They're takers and not givers. It's about having people in your life who are equal in their perspective on what it means to share in friendship and community. And it's also about addressing any shadows that you've stuck in your closet and think that the door is closed and it doesn't matter, because that kind of energy in your psyche creates illness and stress and disease. So if you've had an upsetting experience when you were little or in your 20s, and you think, oh, it was a long time ago, it doesn't really matter, I'm fine. I encourage you to seek professional help and start looking at what that was and how can you help yourself recover from that. Because healing, it's never too late to heal. Healing is always possible. It's about making choices so that when you think I want a pastry, what happens is you change how you eat. The thought of going into a major grocery store and eating one of those junk pastries is just not attractive. I would never consider doing that. So it's it wouldn't taste good. So it's like looking at if you're craving sugar all the time. So one, we need to help you with a sugar detox. And two, we need to figure out what's going in your gut that you're craving sugar. And three, are you craving sugar because you're adrenally exhausted? And do we need to support your adrenals and your energy and your essential energy? There is always a reason for your food cravings. So
Whoa, there's so much information.
it's a lot. It's all intertwined, but it doesn't have to happen in a week. So I have people who work with me for 6 months or a year. You know, I have somebody I'm working with right now, 5.5 years we're going on.
Yeah. Debbie says, if you think wellness is expensive, try illness.
Yes, Debbie, thank you. Illness is more, it's more than money. Illness is your life. Illness is your life. And you don't have to be ill. That's beautiful, Debbie. Thank you.
I love that. You don't have to be ill.
Mm-hmm. That's empowerment.
Yes. Yes. Wow. I mean, we're running out of time, but I have all these questions I want to ask you. But one of them is that apart from the supplements and changing our lifestyle and our diet, what are some other things that can empower, I think, not just after breast cancer, but really after any chronic illness or like any illness or any major event that we go through like this? What could some of those be?
I have 3 things I want to say.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
One, have clear and loving relationships in your life with your friends and your family. 2 is have work that really reflects who you are as a person, that you enjoy. Like I work, I love my work. I don't even think of it as work.
No, you don't work.
No. I have a profession that I do, but I love what I do. I'm never bored, and I don't get burnt out because I take care of myself, and I love helping people. And 3, have something that you do for yourself that has nothing to do with anything other than you like it. So for me, it's gardening. I'm a sculler. I don't know what people know what that is.
I don't know what that is, actually.
I grew up in Philadelphia, and it's a flat boat on the Schuylkill River. It's with 2 oars. It's so great. I do my right now I'm not sculling, but I do my power walks 4 times a week. I take care of my body. I love to bake healthy foods. We have to do something that is creative. You and I were just talking about that. I think creativity, whatever that looks like for you, there isn't enough of that in our lives. We've gotten away from that. So cleaning out your underwear drawer is actually creative, because what I always talk to people women about this. It's like we buy stuff for everyone else, and then we're wearing schmata underwear. Now, schmata is a Yiddish word, which means junkie. It's like, we're beautiful people. We deserve, really, nobody sees it maybe except us. It doesn't matter. We deserve beautiful underwear. So if you haven't bought new underwear for yourself in the last year, ladies, give yourself permission to go to the store and get new underpants and new bras. That is empowerment. I hate to say it. Throw all that other stuff out. You deserve to, it doesn't matter. You see it. That's all that's important. So fun. We have to have fun. And we have to have creativity and nurturing. So whatever, you have to find something. Like one woman, after working with me, she started taking up pottery. Somebody else went into knitting. Someone else started taking watercolor classes. She said, I'm not good. I said to her, are you having a good time? She said, yes. I said, what are we, Picasso? It doesn't matter, good or not good. That's, when you get into this good, bad, right, wrong paradigm, I'm not good, somebody else is good, I'm bad, I didn't do this. You're in a complex, and you're not connected to your essential self. So if you find that you're doing that to yourself, that was not good, should have done this, you're not connected to the beauty of who you are.
I'm the best singer in the shower. And I don't care
That's
who
right.
says what.
I love my watercoloring. That makes me feel good. That's the only thing that's, we're not, you know, I love my gardening. I love my vegetables and my plants. I used to grow all the plants for my family, vegetables. I don't have time for that anymore, but I have my herb garden and I have my flower gardens.
Beautiful.
So,
You love flowers. We spoke about this
yes,
before.
I love flowers.
Yeah.
Love
And
plants.
so yeah, those are amazing tools that a lot of times we take for granted. And just to bring a little bit of joy into our lives. Doesn't take much.
We don't laugh enough in our society. And it's understandable that we don't, because there's a lot of stress and trauma, especially when you watch the news every day. Limit your news watching. Don't watch it all the time. It makes you depressed. And it's not like I don't have compassion for the people who are suffering, but you need to really watch what you put into your psyche. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. A lot of times I take a lot of pushback from people who say, well, you have to watch the news. You have to
Yes,
know what's
once.
going
You can watch it once a day for half an hour, and then you know what's happening.
on. Mm-hmm. Yes, because
You don't have to watch it 8 hours a day.
can be toxic.
Mm-hmm.
All these things that are in our power and in our control. And I think one of the best things I ever learned was that, there's and I don't know if you've heard it or not. I always repeat it because I love it so much. It's called the Serenity Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know it, Dr.
Yeah.
Carol? So the Serenity Prayer just puts things into perspective for me. And so I'll say it again.
Yes.
So it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
And so what's your take on this, Dr.
I think it's really beautiful. I mean, it's part of what empowerment is. It's about taking responsibility for the decisions that you make.
Absolutely.
And I think that if you're suffering from a chronic illness, no matter what it is, you don't need to suffer, and there are important decisions that you need to make to move forward, to have an active life and a life that makes you feel good. I mean, I helped somebody lose over 100 pounds. So that, and it wasn't about me telling her to lose weight. It's like she felt like she was on the outside and she wanted to be part of the inside of life. And she was dedicated to do it. And it took her a year. That's nothing. A year is nothing. She was alive during that time and she was getting better all the time. And at the end of the year, she had lost 100 pounds, which is great. And she was exercising and she had new friends and she had to buy new clothes, thank goodness. And it changed her life. But she decided, if you're not happy with your life, you have the ability to make a decision to make some changes so that you become happy. I mean, why shouldn't you be happy with who you are, how you look, how you feel, what you do? You don't have to do stuff that doesn't suit who you are. Now, are all those changes going to be easy? No. But what else are you going to do with your time? Sit there and watch television and feel bad? No. Make some changes.
Yeah, change is hard.
Change is hard. I am not saying it's easy. It's like we get into these ruts, and when you decide you want to make a change, you have to pick yourself up and put yourself on a new path and create a new rut. And that takes a lot of focus and a lot of energy. And that's why you can't do this by yourself. It's very hard. Find someone such as myself. Reach out to me. I have some space in my practice. I'm taking a few new people to work with. Find someone to work with because it's very difficult to do it for yourself.
Yeah. So there it is. I mean, that you said it. So I have this AAA success formula. Would you like to hear it?
I was just about to say, I want to hear it.
So I've used this formula myself, and I think it's rings true here. So we're going to say first A is admit. And that's awareness, right? That awareness piece, like admitting to ourselves that this is not the life I want to live. I'm not happy. I want to change this. I want to change my health. I want to change my mindset, whatever it is, but I'm not happy. I need to be living a better life. Number 2, ask for help. Because if you knew how to do it yourself, you would have done it by now. And you're so right, because there's a lot of times we don't know what we're doing and we need someone to show us the way. And step number 3 is act, because no matter how much knowledge we have, if we're not doing anything about them, then none of it's going to help us, is it? So that's my triple A.
Beautiful.
Thank you. So I'd like to invite people to reach out to Dr. Carol at www.carollourie.com. Reach out and download all those free stuff that she has so generously allowed us to do. And reach out to her if there's anything at all that's bothering you, anything you think that can make your life better. Reach out to Dr. Carol. She'll help you. She has lots of experience doing this. Dr. Carol, how many people would you say you have helped over the years?
Thousands. 35 years is a long time.
It's a long time. But you've probably seen most of it.
Oh, yeah. I still have people who I've been working with for 28 years, and they still, come back when they have a problem. So that's the beauty of it. It's really wonderful.
When you love what you do, then it's not work. You said it. So you love what you do, and you do what you love all the time. And so that's what keeps you going, and that's your passion. So thank you for sharing this passion with us today. Thank you so much for being on Dela's Voice. I so totally appreciate you and everything you do. You're a superhero, Dr. Carol. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dela, for having me. It was wonderful to be here with you and your audience.
I'm going to give you just one more minute to finish off with whatever you like.
I want to give you all empowerment to take a hard look at what you're doing in your life that really nourishes you, and what you're doing in your life that doesn't feel so great. And I'm not talking about the fact that we all have to take a shower and make our beds and do our household work. I'm talking about, on a deeper level, where are you selling yourself short? What little change, or even a big change, could you start? Like somebody once said to me, I always wanted to learn another language. I said, take a class. And, well, it's going to take a long time. I go, yeah, well, the time's going to be going. And at the end, you're going to speak the language. So what is it that in your heart you've always wanted to do that you're just putting it off? You're putting other people first. I know as women, we tend to take care of everyone, and we get the short end of the stick. We're on last. What would you do? What would you change if you put yourself on the front burner? That's number 1. And number 2, as Dela said, ask for help. I don't think it's healthy in a household where the woman is doing everything by herself. Your spouse should be helping. You have children, if they're older, they can help. It's a sign of low self-esteem. It takes a lot to run a household smoothly. Everybody should have a task and a chore, and they don't get to complain because you're not the maid.
Say that to most women. But I got to take care of everything and everybody.
No. And you know what? Somebody may not do it exactly the way that you want, but you know what? You can let that go. Doesn't matter. The fact that they did it is what's important. You are not the maid. And when you start asking for help, as Dela said, ask, you're going to have time to do the next thing that you really want to do. Learn a language, take an arts class, go back to school, whatever. You'll have time. Everybody needs to help make the household run smoothly. It's not just your job. You can't sacrifice yourself for household chores.
And I have one more question. If you were to introduce or I recommend a book, what would it be?
It would be Donald. It would be a Jungian analyst has written Donald Kalshed, Trauma of the Gifted Child.
Trauma of the Gifted Child.
And Kalshed, I think, is spelled Kahlshed. I might be wrong, but if you are in Amazon, they will correct my spelling. It's a wonderful book. It's about trauma, and it's very intense. You may like read a page and go, what did he say? The man's a genius. I think that when we start recovering our trauma and acknowledging it, it's the beginning of health change and life change.
I lied. I have one more question.
Oh, okay.
What's your definition of success, Carol?
Oh, success is not just about money in the bank. It's about the process of getting there, and it's about your enjoyment of the process. It's about how you feel about your life and your relationships and what your life looks like. What does your underwear drawer look like? I'm sort of not getting there.
Not ever looking at that the same.
No, right. I hope not. Throw out all your old underwear, ladies.
Yes.
It's disrespectful to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Success is about being able to laugh and have friends and delicious, healthy food and take care of your health, power walks. I mean, it's about everything. It's not just about how much money you have in the bank.
That definition to me is right on. And so many times we look for other things to make us feel successful, but really success is all just simple, what you said. And so thank you so much for that reminder, Dr. Carol. Okay, this was my last. Well, not really, but I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, well, I can be on again. There's no time limit here. I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you. But that's the time for our program today. Perhaps you do us the honor of coming back on Dela's Voice.
Anytime, I would love to.
That's awesome. Thank you. So, and thank you for watching us today, everyone, for joining us and giving yourself really an hour of learning, informing yourself, getting inspired, and perhaps getting some motivation to live your healthiest life. Because after all, we do all just get one chance at this life. And so we deserve to live a happy and healthy life. So reach out to Dr. Lourie at www.carollourie.com and see what she can offer you. Mm-hmm. Until next time, everyone, this was another Dela's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Stay blessed.
Bye, everyone.